Yo, what is going on, guys? Jesse504 here, bringing you all NCP week draft analysis. Got it. Versus, nope. Got it. NCP draft analysis for the Ann Arbor Excelgors. We are playing in the NCP. 16 coaches, 8-week regular season. Just like basic stuff right now. And yeah, your Ann Arbor Excelgors are finally getting their shot to draft in the NCP after replacing 2 seasons in a row. And you see this Mon right on your screen. I'm bad at pointing right there. And you must be like, damn, you must have gotten a shit pick in an Ubers league. And I would have been like, you're right, if it was the case. But as it happens, the NCP decided to free a couple of Pokemon this season. They decided to free Sheer Force Lando Eye, and they decided to free Zamazenta Crown. These aren't decisions that have been made on Wi-Fi before, I believe, or they haven't been made very consistently. However, they're starting to become more widely accepted in Showdown, so we figured we'd give it a shot. Check out the tiering video on OG Albino's channel that I did with him if you want to know a little bit more. But we actually had the 4th pick. I was like, oh, 4th, cool, I'll get to maybe use like Pult or Urshi. I haven't gotten a chance to use those yet. But pick 1 Lando I went, and I was like, that's fine. Pick 2 Pult, pick 3 Urshi, which stuck us with Zamazenta at 4th. This Mon is a fantastic behemoth bash. This is great. It's just basically a big ball of stats. It's not that good for what its 720 base stat total would suggest, but it is still very, very good. Fighting and steel typing, like Lucario, like Cobalion, isn't necessarily the best, but it isn't the worst. It's solid enough offensively. And basically, there are very specific Pokemon that check Zamazenta, but overall, it's really good. Very consistent with like just a rest talk set, very physically bulky, and very fast. Got that 128 base speed tier. So, it's just a very strong Mon, and just kind of does a lot. Great offensive coverage, obviously with the stabs. You got Crunch, Psychic Fangs, Wild Charge. Outside of that, you got like Elemental Fangs. You got Moonblast for, I don't know, but you got it. You got, I'm not sure what else, but it's cool. It's got Workup / Howl to boost the attack stat. It's got Rest Talk to stay healthy. CC's a strong move, and it's got Behemoth Bash, which is just a better Iron Head that can't flinch. So that's all solid. So yeah, just a very good Mon, very good ball of stats that can kind of just be molded every week, and might honestly just be like the fastest non-Scarfer in any given week, in any given matchup. And where is this? Up next, we did not draft Chandelure, we drafted Slowking. However, I decided later in the draft to pivot away from Slowking, so Chandelure was actually a pickup at the end of the draft based on what I thought I needed. But what does Chandelure do? It provides a great special breaker. The 80 base speed tier is kind of cringe, especially when I pair it with another Mon, but other than that, it's got like everything that you would want to see in a good special breaker. Ghost type is great offensively this generation. Fire is good as well, and it's strong, 145 base special attack stat. It's a fantastic Scarfer, good boots Mon, good way to like push through like bulkier cores. It's got Energy Ball for pesky waters. It's got like Wisp and stuff. It's got Trick if you're running a Scarf set. It's got Overheat, which is really strong, I believe. And if not, just like strong, good Scarfer, good just offensive piece. With Zama, it's actually kind of solid. Usually people try to use like bulkier fires to check Zama. And Shandy, while it's not the bulkiest of bulky fires, it can still pivot in on them with a flash fire ability and be a little bit synergistic, and then throw off like a big flash fire boosted fire attack, as well as just being a good way to stop those sorts of mons and make them a little bit less scary. It does stack a ground weakness, but I wasn't really thinking of Chandelure at the 2nd pick slot, I will not lie. And I was hoping I would be able to pick up Blacephalon. However, Blacephalon did not make it through the draft. Up next was my true round 3 pick, and that was Thundi Eye. Thundi Eye I thought was a great offensive support piece with Zamazenta. Super strong, good like defog for it, because Spike Stack is a very solid archetype into a Zamazenta team where the Zama can't run boots, and one of my other important mons doesn't really like to run boots. So Thundy's good, like good support, but also fantastic offensively. Another solid special breaker. Waters are another way people like to deal with Zama, and Thundy kind of just does really well into those, and it just kind of synergizes really well offensively with what I have. Even if Chandelure wasn't there at the time, it's still a good offensive synergy piece, and U-turn is also great, good to keep up momentum. The Defiant sets are pretty fun, especially coming from a VGC player. I know all about them. I don't like play that much VGC, but I do have my feet wet in the format, and I do play a good amount. But Fundy overall, just a very solid, good pick that I would that I was kind of looking to try out. I was a bit worried that, you know, maybe this is a bit too early for Thundy, but I think it was fine. Up next was Mamo. This is what I was talking about, the cringe pairing between Shandy and Mamo, just because of the same speed tier, but they're pretty much opposites in every other way. Other than the water weakness, we are kind of just like lacking a Scald Switch, and now we did have a Slowking, but we're kind of lacking. But we do pick up great answers to Scald, I believe, or at least in my opinion, I think we have. But Mamo and Shandy's offensive synergy is great. Mamo on its own has very few switch-ins. Usually people also try to use their bulky water to beat MAMOSWINE. So kind of putting pressure on bulky water, or like levitate mons that are kind of bulky, like a Bronzong or something, or like a Uxie. Like a lot of those mons are psychic types, and Chandelure is pretty good. People do also try to use their bulky psychics to check Zama, so it kind of works out as it happens. So Mamo, another solid offensive pickup. Zarude up next. Zarude, Troutmon. I fully believe that it is not worth the points and that it isn't quite good, but it does, on paper, do really good on this plan. So I went ahead and I grabbed Zarude. Nice little bit of speed to sort of bridge down from Thunderous into what I have a little bit below. And also, good offensive typing. Grass Dark is like not the worst. And it's a good way to come in on bulky waters and not really feel too pressured. We have the jungle healing in case we get Scald Burn, something like that. And then just solid offensively with a good fighting and rock coverage that it has as well. And it has like Stomping Tantrum too, I believe, if you need it. So yeah, Zarude overall seems like a pretty clean pick on this team, even if I'm not the biggest fan of it in general. And then Feeny. This is why I pivoted away from Slowking. I was like, Blissey went, and I was really looking at Blissey. Just, it's super good with Zamazenta. Very tough core to break outside of fighting. And I figured Blissey went, so I figured Chansey would be the next best replacement. But Chansey, like Zama, doesn't... Zama can't run boots. Chansey doesn't appreciate it. It still is, for the most part, a Blissey without boots, but on the physical side, it really appreciates the Eviolite. So I figured grabbing another consistent defogger would be great, so that Fundy didn't have to worry about it as much. And it also potentially opens up weeks where I can run Scarf Chandelure and not feel as bad about it. But yeah, Feeny is great, and it was also like the best fairy on board by a good margin, especially for this team. And Misty Terrain boosted, or Misty Terrain protected Zama is also great. Other than the fact that I can't rest, I did kind of throw a fit in the draft. I was thinking about taking Feeny round 2, but I was like, I made a point like, oh no, that's terrible, I can't rest with my Zama, but it doesn't matter, I was just being an idiot. And so yeah, this is a solid top 6. Like, when I always see a draft and I see I have 6 Pokemon, I'm like, hey, this is a cool 6, I'd be happy to bring this to a game. But we've got some more gravy, and starting that off with, I didn't really touch on what Feeny does. One of the better bulky waters in the format if you ignore the fact that it doesn't have recovery. But I feel like a good Wish Passer is really important on Zamazenta teams, so we have it. But Feeny is just fantastic. Otherwise, too. And then we've got Chansey here, like I was mentioning. Chansey was good. I didn't want to risk it getting sniped. Fantastic Wish Passer will heal a lot of my mons to just like, it'll heal the Feeny pretty much to full. It's got, when you invest in the like max HP stat, it's got about 180 HP wishes at level 50. And I already played my week 1, and my Zama had less than that overall. My Feeny had like just about that, and yeah, Chansey's just able to like pass the fattest wishes. The only downside to Chansey wishing is that it can't teleport. And teleport is equally as fantastic here, making Chansey a very consistent pivot, one of the most consistent pivots in the format, especially into special attackers. And so yeah, that was kind of like my thought process with the Chansey pick here. Also, my Ghost matchup is now pretty fantastic between Zarude and Chansey. They don't really appreciate doing much overall to the team other than tricking. Trick is going to be a very common strategy, I feel, against my team. But then I have best trick / knock switching in the game, in my opinion, Zamazenta. So we're chilling. Up next is Uxie. Uxie's a great bulky psychic. And it helps with my speed tiers a little bit, and it helps with my rocks. Because I drafted a steel that didn't rock. Mamo isn't the most consistent of rockers, so I wanted to get a couple clean rockers that weren't in like the considered rocks types of rock ground steel. So I grabbed Chansey, and then I also have an Uxie now, and that is great. Just a great, another great bulky pivot, and I did kind of build a team that's very dependent on Wish, but Uxie's fine with like rest talk, good rocks, very consistent with rocks and T-wave support as well, and is pretty bulky. Rest talk can work a lot of weeks, and has good covers that it isn't passive. But yeah, Uxie's kind of a cool one. Up next, we've got Dragalge. Dragalge's a nice, strong, bulky pivot. Again, with that flip turn momentum, it's great, and nothing really appreciates switching into adaptability Dracos and Sludge Waves from specs. Feeny with terrain is kind of annoying, but that is the case for any dragon that you're going to draft. So I figured not having like the most expensive dragon is great. It's not going to come every week, but Dragalge is still great. Sets T-spikes. T-spikes can be kind of cool for this team. Flip turn's kind of cool. Gives like another sort of like Spadef option, but more of a bulky offense option with Dragalge, in that it's super strong and super kind of fat as well, especially on the special side. Stabs are great, switched into by steel types. Steel types get focus blasted or maybe like hit by one of Dragalge's other coverage moves, like a Thunderbolt or like a Surf Scald, Hydro Pump, or just flip turned out on. So that is Dragalge for you. And last but not least, I wanted a 3-pointer that I thought could maybe come to a game. We got Basculin. Basculin's strong offensive water. Not that good, but it does. It's like another piece, like maybe when you see the Uxie plus the Basculin, you'll think about creeping in that area, is my thought process. But Basculin's cool, adaptability moves. It's my Basculesian for now. It probably doesn't come to many games, but some teams just don't have a very good water resist. And just Choice Band, Choice Scarf, Flip turning out, Waterfall, Liquidationing. Psychic Fangs is cool, it's got Ice Beam. It's like not terrible. It was the most bringable 3-pointer in my opinion for my team. So yeah, that's the NCP team that we were rocking out with. This is going up Friday. NCP will be going up Friday. Be sure to subscribe to me if you want to not miss my NCP run. Be sure to subscribe to all the other coaches in the description down below if you don't want to miss their NCP runs. We've got some fantastic coaches. Some that we brought over from the Showdown scene, who is their very first Wi-Fi league. Some who are just good friends of mine. Some who are very experienced Wi-Fi players. Yeah, NCP is really stacking up. Excited to be a part of it this season. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed your Ann Arbor Selgor's draft analysis. And I will hopefully see you next week for week 1.